Hello, everyone. My name is Imran, and today we have Brent Scott on this video. And hi, Brent. How are you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Great. Thank you for asking. Well, Brent has also been one of my professors at the University of Winnipeg, and he's excellent at teaching web development. He's the one who taught me web development, and I'm really happy to have him on the show for you guys. And he's going to teach us something really interesting. Hi, Brent. So tell me, like, what you'll be teaching us, and maybe a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been a web developer for, what year is it now? 26 years, I guess.
Wow. Wow.
Maybe 27. It's almost 2025. Yeah, 27 years. I've been doing graphic design for almost the same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been using Photoshop since 1997 or so. So I've been using Photoshop since version 4, 3 or 4, one of those. So now we're 25 some versions later. And so I have a lot of experience with this software. And normally this is something I would teach at the beginning of a web development course, just how to use Photoshop, because every web developer needs to know how to, crop pictures, how to fix up
Mm-hmm.
pictures. I mean, it's not about just always putting up on a website what's given to you. Sometimes you have to fix the photos. Sometimes you have to make mock-ups. Sometimes you have to, resize photos because the client doesn't know how to do that. So Photoshop is still a very useful tool to me. I use it quite a bit. There are free alternatives out there, of course, but they're not as popular as Photoshop, and they're sometimes a little harder to use. So that's why I figure, well, I'll show you a bit of Photoshop here. Are you ready to go?
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. Let's begin.
Okay, so I'm going to flip to my desktop here, and I'm going to open up Photoshop. The reason I wanted to show you this is because the opening graphic that you see when you first open up Photoshop lets you know
Mm-hmm.
what version you have. So you can see here we've got the bird with the hat on there, this weird looking
Yeah.
picture. That shows that we're using Photoshop 2025. Every version of
Mm-hmm.
Photoshop has a different image here that shows up when you first open it up.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, in Windows 11, I'm gonna drag to the top of the screen here to go full screen. And this
Mm-hmm.
is how we usually start out here. I've got my recent images down here at the bottom. And a couple things you can do here in Photoshop if you want to start creating a new file, you want to actually draw something, then you would click on New File here. And that opens up the New Document option. Now, what it shows here for size, if you've been copying and pasting in Windows or on Mac, it'll show you the last thing that you copied, if it was an image. So the last thing I copied was a size of 1440 by 810 pixels. So that's why we see this number here. So if I had something currently in my clipboard, I copied it, Control C, Command C, it would now be, I would be able to paste it in. So I create a new document here, and then I could click, Control V or Command V or Edit Paste right there.
Yeah, that's what I like about the Photoshop. There are a lot of shortcuts, right? The keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah. So this is it's grayed out because there's nothing in my clipboard now. There's nothing to paste. But the last thing I copied was that size, and that's why we have this this size of an image. I'm going to close that, because we're not going to talk about drawing right now. What we're going to talk about is fixing up images.
Absolutely. That's one of the tough things, right? Like when you take pictures and you have somebody's eyes closed or, something that's you don't want in the picture, and that's really hard to do.
Yep. So I've got a good one here, which I accidentally closed down for some reason. I have to go find it again. Yes, I did. I closed it down. I don't know why I did that. Okay. So
That's okay.
I've got a drive here with lots of stuff on it. I know where it was because I was just there a second ago. Sloan Assiniboine Park
Okay.
shots. Okay, so what happened here was I took a picture. This is during a photo shoot for my daughter last year for her birthday. And on our way out, I saw a very nice looking fountain. And by the way, all these pictures are taken with a Canon digital SLR. So that's more of a prosumer, almost professional level camera. I'm actually using it right now as my camera, my webcam.
Yes, your video quality is really good.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I spent a lot of money to get that looking the way it does.
Yes,
You
looks
can't
great.
you can't just hook up your SLR to your computer. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
I had to buy a special capture card. I had to get a way to plug it in so it was powered. Yeah, there was a lot that had to be done. So if we look at this picture here, if I open this up, this is called a CR3. That's Camera Raw 3. This is a Canon's format. And basically, I'm shooting in something called RAW, which means it's not compressed. It's not like JPEG. It's the most high quality image you can get out of the camera. No compression, no changes whatsoever to the image. Now, when I open this in Windows, Windows will actually open this in the photo viewer, and I don't want to do that. I want to open it up in Photoshop. So one way I can do that is I can just drag it into Photoshop near the top here. I always like to drag them into the top bar. That way you don't drag an image into another image.
Okay.
And this is actually going to open up a separate program called Camera Raw. Hopefully it doesn't crash or anything. There we go. And this is a new version. It went on my other screen, so you can't see it. It just said, welcome to Camera Raw 17. So this is the newest version of this. I'm going to pull it over to the current screen here. And because it's a new version, it doesn't remember my old settings, and it's very large. So I'm just going to resize it. Okay, so there's my image there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I open this up, this isn't Photoshop. This is like a separate program, as you can see. So if I wanted to make any changes in here, I could. That's a separate topic, so I won't get into that right now, but we could spend hours on just talking about Camera Raw and what we can do in here, which is a lot, actually. But one thing I like to do very quickly is just click Auto. This does a nice auto adjustment to the image, and if you watch how this looks, give it a second, you can see that it's cleared it up, it's brighter, it looks a lot nicer. Okay, let's see how that looked originally. There's the original, and there's the fixed. You can see it's a bit brighter and crisper. So I'm going to open it up. Now I've got a couple problems with this picture, which is what we're going to talk about here. How can we fix this up? Now, the number one thing with this is that it is crooked. So we can see from the building here, it's in our Assiniboine Park in Winnipeg, you can see that this is not straight. So what I want to do is find something that should be straight, preferably horizontal. So if we look at this side of the building here, we can see that is crooked. Okay. Now the way we can fix this is by using a neat little technique here. I'm going to go into the tools on the side here, and if you're unfamiliar with Photoshop, every one of these tools has a flyout set of more tools. So if I click on this tool, for example, we can see that there's actually 4 in there. It's not just one tool. There's a bunch of tools inside.
Right.
The one I'm looking for is the ruler tool. Okay. Now the ruler tool is generally used to get the distance of something in an image. So I can click and drag. You know, up here it tells me that that is 1995 pixels long. That's what it normally does, but that's not what I want to do with it right now. I want to use it to drag a line across this top here so that it kind of matches the edge of the roof here. Okay, so now you can see that, right? So I've dragged this,
Yes.
It's slightly crooked. Now what Photoshop knows is how much of an angle this is from straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Image, Image Rotation, and Arbitrary. Now in there is the exact number of degrees that this image is not straight. Okay, so it already knows, I don't have to set anything here. It already knows it has to go clockwise, and it knows it has to go 2.42 degrees. So I'm going to click OK, and it straightens the image. Now I'm just going to drag a ruler. Here, I'll show you how to do this. You go to View, Rulers, and that brings these rulers up here at the top. What these are good for is I can drag something called a guide down from the top, and then I can see if this is straight. That's pretty good, maybe not
Almost
perfect.
straight, yep.
Almost perfect. Let's try it against this side. Pretty good. No one's going to notice really that that's not perfectly straight. That's straight enough. Okay. Now, the tool that I'm mostly using here is the Move tool. This is the most important tool in Photoshop. This is the tool that moves things on a layer normally. And there's, you know, at school we do a 36-hour Photoshop course, there's a lot that would need to be covered, and this is kind of like a crash course, but this tool basically moves things around on a layer. And if we had time to talk about layers, we'd talk about them, but we'll see how much time we get at the end here. Now you're going to get this same issue even if you do this on a phone or Photoshop or anywhere else. Whenever you rotate an image that needs to be rotated, you're going to get this extra space here. See all that? Extra space. So what we need to do is crop it. Now, unfortunately, we're going to lose some of the image. And if you took a crooked image, that is just one of the bad things that's going to happen. There's not much we can do about it. There's no way to get this back, or is there? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. But the crop tool looks like a set of blades here. This is what old school crop tools used to look like before Photoshop and digital photo editing. Now, if we click on that one, notice it's got a little shortcut called of C. I can hit C to get that tool up too. And here we can see what we call handles around the outside. We can use these to crop this image in so that we get rid of this white stuff. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here using my zoom tool. So I can zoom out, hold down Alt and zoom out, or zoom in. So I'm going to zoom out a bit, go back to my crop tool, and crop tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag the crop handle so it reaches this part up here, right where the white stops and the image begins. So I'm going to drag that over like that. And you can see we lost a bunch of this down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm going to crop this down here, and we might lose a little bit of the flag. Okay, like that. And I'm going to take this side and crop this one over here. And ideally what we want to do here is get rid of all the white. And that leaves me with something like this. Okay, so I lost a bunch of the image. We can tell we lost. Nothing you can do about that right away because, that's the consequence of taking a crooked shot. I was in a hurry. My family was running away from me. They were like, hurry up, hurry up. So I was just taking this picture really quickly. So I didn't really have time to frame it. I didn't have a tripod.
I can imagine.
Took it really quick. So now I'm going to click on the checkbox up here. 3 ways we can do this. You can hit enter or return on a Mac. You can double click it, or you can click the checkbox. I like to double click. So I'm going to double click. And there the image is cropped.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So straightened and now cropped. But look at all the water fountain we're missing here. And I'm just going to go a little bit further and or should I do that? Let's see what happens if we lose the flag too. There. Chopped off the flag. Okay, let's see how smart Photoshop is this year. Now, as you can see, the crop tool is used to, it's used to crop an image so it's smaller. And quite often when we're putting an image up on a website or any kind of image work that you're doing, there's always going to be stuff that shouldn't be there that you don't want, right? So one of the first things I do with an image when someone gives it to me is I crop out anything that shouldn't be there. Maybe they have a lot of sky, maybe there's a lot of grass, maybe there's just things that are distracting from the main focus of the image. So quite often you want to crop it anyway. I mean, I cropped it to fix a problem here, but sometimes we just crop because there's too much in the image. Let's talk briefly about cropping here. Let me find a quick image. Yeah, like here. Okay. I'm going to drag this up to the top. Here's a picture I took of a goose.
Okay.
In Manitoba, we call these cobra chickens.
Wow.
Because they're really mean sometimes, these guys. So we have a lot of stuff in this image that really doesn't need to be there. Again, took this picture in a hurry. I didn't really compose it. And a lot of times I do that because, hey, I know I can fix that in Photoshop later. So I often don't really, spend as much time on the camera as I should. I just kind of tape them quick, knowing that I can fix it later. So,
and I also remember you taught me that you should not zoom in on the camera and take pictures. You should just take it normal and later on crop it because you get better picture that way, right?
On a phone camera.
Yeah, on a phone camera.
On your SLR, though, you can zoom because I've got an actual zoom lens, right?
Yes.
I don't know where it is, somewhere in here. Yeah, that's called an optical zoom. It's actually you're not losing any quality when you zoom with that camera. But a phone camera, yeah. Don't zoom, just crop it.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to crop this in. I don't need the lady at the top. I really don't need these half of the trees that are up here. They're not doing anything for the picture. The focus is the goose.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get rid of all the dirt on the other side there. Now, one nice thing about having really high resolution cameras is, I've got a lot of pixels to work with here. I can still have a fairly high resolution picture while cropping it in. Now, another thing that, we teach in graphic design is the rule of thirds. Do you see how this is split up into thirds like this?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, what we want to do is try to get the goose in one of these intersections of the lines. So if I put the goose here, that's not really a good picture. Also, I've got this stuff at the top. Because the goose, why is it at the bottom? You're going to look at this and say, why is the goose over there? It doesn't seem to be the focus of the image. If we put the goose on this side, that's a lot better, but then I'd have to crop it some more.
Right.
Okay, let's see what the goose looks like here. Now that looks weird. We're getting more road than goose. And the same thing here. We're getting a lot of goose and we're getting a lot of road and a lot of dirt. So really the best place should be here, which means I have to crop it a little bit more. But see how the goose is now sitting within that rule of thirds?
Yes.
Let's move this up a little bit and this over. So I'm always going to get a bit of the road. Nothing I can do about that. So this is a more composed picture. The goose is in the bottom third of the image and the bottom right. This is what we would call a nicely composed picture using rule of thirds. I'm going to double click that. And there's what we have now. So that's what I mean about cropping. I crop to get rid of all the extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. Maybe the focus of this picture is goose. So we want to have more goose in the image. Also, unfortunately, the goose is a little bit out of focus. Oh well. It's not a great picture. So that's the deal with cropping. You want to, before you do anything else, before you start working on the image, you want to crop it first. That way I'm only dealing with these pixels. If I'm going to do any kind of lighting work or fixing the color of the image, I don't want it to take into account all that other stuff that I'm not going to keep. So I crop it first. This is usually the first thing I do, crop it. So now I've got a more focused image here and a nicely positioned rule of thirds here. I'll give you just a couple quick examples of rule of thirds. Let me just pop onto my Google Photos. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to go to albums and photography, smartphone photography. Oh, actually wrong one. Wrong place completely. Sorry about that. Maybe we'll...
That's okay.
We'll edit that out. Let me go to... On my OneDrive actually is where it is. It's been a while since I've been teaching this. I apologize.
That's all right.
Education. Oh, no, backups, education. And I believe this was in graphic design. Graphic design 2. Photography examples. Here we go. Okay, so here's some examples of rule of thirds. And here we can
Is
see...
that the picture taken by you?
No, these are ones I found
Okay.
online.
Okay.
I wish I'd taken this picture. So you can see that that one was nicely positioned within the rule of thirds. Here's another one. Again, the bottle sits within the rule of thirds.
Yep.
So this is very important for cropping. And on your smartphone, if you're in Google Photos on an Android, for example, these rule of thirds lines show up there too. This is all
even on iPhone.
Yeah, on iPhones too. This is to make it better to crop. You can crop
Yes.
things more specifically. So there's some examples of rule of thirds for you. Now, it doesn't mean you should always do that. For example, this one here, this works better with the primary subject in the middle, which is the sun here.
Right?
This would look strange if it was set to the rule of thirds. So it's not something you do every single time, but sometimes.
Basically, the feel of the picture needs to be good.
Exactly, feel it.
Yeah.
And even if we think about it, the guy here is in the rule of thirds, but the sun isn't. So it doesn't always make sense.
Right.
Sunsets especially don't look good in rule of thirds. But you can try to put the sun in the middle, but on one of the lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a picture of a sunset in here. I don't. But you can try to put the sun not like smack dab in the middle of the picture for a sunset, but put the sun, try to have more sky than water. Maybe the bottom third is water and the top 2/3 is sky.
Like the bottle picture, I think the sun wasn't there, but at least there was water in the mountain, right?
Right.
So that was kind of sitting in this. That was following the same rule that you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to, now we've seen how we can crop. Let's go back to this image. So again, I have a problem here. I cropped this nicely, I straightened it, but I lost some of the image. I purposely lost the
Yes.
flag. And now I've got all this missing from the side here. Now, granted, it was missing in the first place, but when I straightened it, I lost even more. So what I'm going to show you here is one of the coolest new features to come along in Photoshop, and it's called Generative Fill. This is AI. This is Photoshop's, Adobe's new AI engine here. And what it does is it looks at the image and tries to guess what should be there. Now, this occurs in a bunch of places in Photoshop. There's a bunch of different tools that use it. And what a lot of people don't know is that the crop tool does this too, actually. The crop tool has something called, you can see it down here, Generative Expand. So what this is going to do is it's going to expand the picture and fill in the stuff that's missing. Now watch this, it's like magic. Now instead of cropping in, I'm going to crop out. Now in the older versions of Photoshop, this would just give you white. You'd have your image and then white on the side. What this is actually going to do here is it's going to, let's see, let's bring it to about here. It's going to try to fill in what's missing. Now it takes a few seconds to think.
Do we need to click on the
I think we
expand?
need to click on Generative Expand. There we go. Generate. Now it's thinking.
I hope it doesn't draw another fountain.
We don't know what it's going to draw. What will it do?
Let's see what on earth we. Oh wow, really?
Look at that.
That's amazing.
Not only that, but it gathered from this part here that it was.
Whoa.
When did we do this? Actually, was this in the
Kind
fall?
of completed the tree.
I can't remember if this was fall or not. I'm going to check. Camera data says this was taken in. Uh, 2023. Yeah, this is fall. So this is September 18th. So some of the leaves were starting to turn. Now, I don't know if Photoshop guessed that it was sunset or if it tried to change the leaves of some of the trees here, but we can see this orange stuff in here. It actually kind of works. It was the end of September. Some trees might have been changing, so that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, definitely
Now,
does.
when you do a generative expand, it will give you three options. We can see at the bottom here, 1 through 3. So I'm going to click on that. And now here's another version of that. See, now these trees look a bit better, but notice the fountain looks a little lopsided here.
Yeah.
So we can do this again. This looks pretty good, but it almost, now you can actually see where the expand was. There's a line here. So I think one looked the
previous
best.
one is better, yeah.
Yeah, the fountain looks good. It gave a little bit of motion blur on here, which is nice. If you're not happy with any of these, you can click Generate again and have it do the whole thing over again.
What's that 1, 2, 3? There's like 1/3. Can we use that?
This is number 1, this is number 2, and this is number 3.
Okay.
So that's
2 also looks fine, I think.
Yeah, you can also go up here. Just close down my history panel. You can go up here and you can click on them here too.
Okay. Okay.
Now, if you do click Generate, that's going to give you 3 more. Now, this is always a bit of a gamble because these 3 might not be as good as the previous 3.
Are you going to lose the previous 3?
I think so, yes.
Unfortunately.
Oh, actually, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, they changed that. Now it actually keeps, now I've got 6.
Ah, okay.
So
that's
here's
good.
the
That's
3 we
useful.
had before. Here's a new one, number 4.
Yeah.
Do we like that one? Oh, I like number 4. Number 4 is nice. Number 5. And number 6. Again, that one's got that line, eh? Or are those the original ones? Actually, no, those are the original ones. These are the new ones. The top. There we go. Oh, that actually looks really nice right there. I think I like this one.
Yeah. What about the flag?
Okay, well, let's see what happens with the flag. So we're going to go up now. And we're going to click Generate.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what happens.
Oh,
Unfortunately, we did not get the flag.
we can try the second and third maybe.
Let's see.
No.
Oh, they all look the same. They just basically made
Yeah.
sky. Okay. So we're going to undo that. I'm going to go to edit, undo.
Can we prompt it? Can we say that add flag or something?
You can
So
add a prompt.
there's a text. Yeah, so maybe then it'll draw.
Add flag on flagpole. Now AI is still not, great yet, so it may add some very strange things here. Let's see.
Warnings. Okay, let's see.
Uh-oh, I actually forgot to uncrop.
Oh, is that a US flag?
That's a US flag. Not even. What's the blue there?
Oh god, they kind of mixed multiple countries' flag together.
I forgot about something. We need to generate up here.
Yeah.
Okay, generative fill. Let's try that again. What would you like to generate? Flag.
Add, yeah.
Okay, let's see.
But I'm wondering if it's gonna fill the whole thing with the flag. Because we just said flag.
It might. It's not always that smart. Yeah, see, there's a whole
Oh god. Yeah.
and I can see the other ones look like that too. So not the prompts, they're an art in themselves.
Yeah, in my opinion, Brent, I feel like if there was some part of the flag showing or cut, then it'll probably fill the rest of it.
Yeah.
But because there's no flag, it doesn't know that it's supposed to.
I think
put a
that's
flag
what's
there.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I shouldn't have actually cropped the flag.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But now we know at least what we can do.
Okay, let me try this one more time. Let's do a better prompt. Canadian flag on top of flagpole on top of building. Okay, I'll give it up if this doesn't work.
My assumption is going to do that all within that empty space.
Let's see. Sometimes it surprises you, and sometimes it does really just unpredictable. Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, God.
What's this? Oh, hey, look at that.
Really? It did it. Congratulations.
It doesn't look very real,
Not,
though.
it doesn't, but at least it... Oh, whoa. This is better, right?
That's not a Canadian flag, though. What is that?
It's some kind of flag.
Okay.
But at least it put it at the right spot.
Okay, we'll leave that one. Okay, let's go with that. Actually, there's another thing I can do later. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to now go work on the other side. So I'm going to go back to my crop tool, and I'm going to expand this on the other side. Now I want the water fountain to be sort of in the middle. Notice it's pretty good rule of thirds here. The water fountain is the top of it.
Yes.
Sitting the very third there line. So that's good. I'm going to let go. And
then generative expand.
Generative expand, and let's see how this looks. Generate. And there you go.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Let's check the different versions.
You can't tell that this was done by the Photoshop generative AI.
Okay, what do you think?
So
number
hard
one,
to tell. No.
Number two, or number three?
I think I like the first one. Yeah. Because it kind of matches the dark part in the water.
Yeah, I like number three, but the problem is there's not as much. This tree should have more shadow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. If we go to number one here, we can see the shadow kind of matches the tree there.
Yes.
Now look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if somebody else looks at it, they can't figure it out that it is done by generative AI. So yeah, I think
Ooh.
artificial intelligence is beautiful. Now, what's that?
Was that in my original picture?
Maybe.
One way to find out, we can go to Window History.
Mm-hmm.
And Photoshop always takes a snapshot of the image when you first load it.
That's good.
Yeah, okay.
So we don't lose the original picture.
That was there in my original.
Yeah.
Well, hey, since we're here, let's talk about more generative AI here. Okay, let's close this history. So I don't know what that is, but it doesn't look like it should be there. So I'm going to do what's called a selection up here.
Okay.
Do I want to do a marquee? No, I'm going to take my polygonal lasso tool. I'm just going to click with this, and I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer too. One thing we should talk about with Generative Expand, which makes it really cool, is that it's non-destructive. So when you're doing this, your original image is still there. These are all new layers sitting on top of that original image. I can take them all away, and I've got my original image here.
Okay.
So it's adding new layers for all of these. Okay, so I want to make sure that if I'm using an AI generative ability here, I want to make sure I'm on the right layer. My background layer is my original layer. Otherwise, it's going to be trying to remove something from this layer, which would be empty at that spot. Okay, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to just click on this. I don't know what...
Looks like a light or something.
Yeah, it almost looks like something was in the water. A ribbon or something. Okay, didn't notice that before. So what this has done is this has created a selection around that object that I want to remove. Okay? Now, in the old days of Photoshop, this would have been a lot harder. I would have had to been really creative here. It actually took quite a bit of skill to remove something like this. I would have to clone other areas of the image into this and try to rebuild it manually.
Which would have been tedious.
It was tedious, and that's how it was back when we did it in Photoshop 4. It was a lot of work. Now, I'm going to do this the modern way, and there's actually several ways you can do this. Their older version of this is called Content-Aware Fill. This is the... it's a form of AI too, but it's not as advanced as what we have now. I'll show you this one first. So if I click on that, it's going to... The green areas show me where it's taking samples from.
Yeah.
Click OK.
That's not too bad.
And that's what we have. I'm not necessarily happy with that, though. Okay. So I'm going to do this again. This time I'll use the new Generative Fill, which is the more advanced AI. I'm going to click on Generative Fill. And if we don't tell it what to put, it's just going to try to fill it in with what it thinks should go there. So I'm going to just click Generate. And sometimes this can take a bit longer because it has to do a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's gone. That's much better.
Now, can you tell that anything was there before?
No. No way.
Isn't that great? And like the others, it is also non-destructive. So if I'm not happy with that, I can always delete this layer here by dragging it into the trash and get rid of that. Oops.
It looks like a snake.
It does. Now it's gone. So now here's my updated picture. Now we don't have to stop there. If, let's say, we want to add something here. Now Photoshop is really smart. I'm going to add in a duck.
I was going to ask you that. Well, if it's water, it's supposed to have a duck.
Maybe not there. I got to be careful where I add it. I got to add it someplace that's part of the original image. So I'm going to go up here, actually.
Yeah, otherwise it might mess up with the generative fill, right?
Yeah, it'll mess up the generative stuff that I already did.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. I've got this area here ready to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Generative Fill. What would I like to generate? So I'm going to say ducks. Okay, and then I'm going to click Generate. I love this stuff. It's so amazing. Now, this is actually a bit out of focus. So if Photoshop is smart, it'll make the ducks a little bit out of focus too.
Oh. Looks like there are 3 ducks. Oh,
it's one duck flying away. Okay. Let's check the...
It's probably because of the water.
Yeah. Like I say, it's not perfect yet. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's delete it. Let's try again. I'm going to try over here maybe instead. Yeah. Let's go here.
We have some more space there.
I'll be a little bit more specific this time. Generative Fill. Ducks floating on water. Sometimes you have to be very concise. You have to let it know what you want to do. If I just said ducks, that might not have been enough. Oh, there we go.
Not too bad, yeah.
The duck appears to be a little bit cut off there, but let's see.
There's a square.
You know why the duck is cut off?
Yeah.
Because the duck is behind the generative fill. So I'm going to drag the duck up to here. No, that left me with that. Okay, I can actually fix that. I'm going to take my magic wand tool here, which selects all the pixels of a similar color. That gets all that white. I'm going to delete it. Object is not directly editable. Okay, I'll add a mask instead. I want to add to the mask. I'm going to hold down Control. No, hang on a second. Oh, there's already a mask, so that's part of the problem here. Let's.
Okay. Can we move the duck like inside towards the original picture?
That would probably work. Yeah, let's do that. I'm undoing here. Okay, so I'll take the duck. No, unfortunately, there's white there.
Oh.
Okay, so I think I can fix this. You know, now actually, that is why when I originally wanted to make the duck, I told you that you should do it on the original part of the image.
Yes.
This is why.
Yes.
So it's good that
we can remove that and try that again.
Yeah, I'm going to try it again. Okay, so I'm just going to shut off all of the generative expand here, clicking these little eyeballs, just so I get rid of the left and right parts. Okay, let's try to put the duck over here this time. Okay, we'll do ducks floating on water.
So while it's generating that, Brent, one question I do want to ask, since we have limited time, is that in the world of AI, how do we know if something is generated by an AI? Like if we see some picture on the internet, like somebody's posted on Facebook as their profile picture or something else, how do we know that it's original?
It's getting a lot harder to tell. So how do we, detect that something's AI? This duck actually looks pretty good. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
I just want to check one thing here.
This is much better because it has that white part of the water.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that makes it difficult for me to resize it. If I try to move it around here, see.
Nah, I think she looks fine there.
Okay, let's check with the different versions of this. There's 1, 2, 3. No way around it. It's a giant duck. Okay, so
yeah, that's fine. Let her be happy there.
There's one way we can know it's AI. The duck is way too big, right? That's a giant duck. Now, when it comes to AI and how do we know if this stuff is real or not on the internet?
Yes.
When it comes to people, AI is still not quite there. And the scary part is that someday it might be. Where it is this year as opposed to where it was last year is a big difference.
Okay.
This year it's getting better and better and better. It's getting really hard to tell AI. But the place that you look is at the fingers. For whatever reason...
I was just going to say that.
AI always gets the fingers wrong. AI...
Okay.
Let's try to add, actually...
just for fun stuff.
Here, let me go back to the goose picture.
Okay.
I'm actually going to undo this back to the original. There we go. I'm going to put up here...
a few people.
Let's go... man lying in the grass. Now, when AI tries to do people, this is where it often has problems. And the place I always look is in the hands.
Okay.
And, quite often in the face, too. But last year, the faces were really scary sometimes. It just made...
Especially the eyes, right?
And this, again, because of perspective, is a giant man. He looks like he's about
Yeah.
12 feet tall. The reason you can tell is look at where he is compared to the lady. There's the size of the lady. And look at the guy.
Yeah.
So if we look at these two together, they're the same distance away. This guy is a giant. But if we
Right.
zoom in on him,
His face is messed up. His eyes are messed up.
yeah,
His lips are
what's going on with the lips there?
kind of stitched together.
Look at his arm is actually kind of chopped off here at the...
Yeah.
Let's see what the other versions look like. Oh, this guy looks a bit better.
This is better. But still, the fingers. See?
Yeah, look at the fingers. He's broken his own fingers. The fly here looks completely wrong. I don't know what kind of pants he's wearing, but they look like he made them himself. And if you look at his shoes...
He's an Asian guy.
Actually, they got the face pretty good. What AI in Adobe does, actually, is it takes existing pictures from Adobe stock, and it may use that. So this actually could be a real person, or a combination of a few real people. That last one I don't think was, but this guy, it looks real to me.
Yes.
Okay, let's try this one here. Now that...
He's eating his own hand.
Okay.
And look at the fingers.
Yeah, here we can clearly see the fingers.
As if his hand is cut already.
Yeah.
Maybe they are inspired by the Halloween coming.
There was a famous AI picture of Donald Trump in a church with he was praying or something like that, and people were trying to pass this off as real, but a few people noticed that, hey, he's got 6 fingers. So, count the
He's
fingers.
born with extra talent.
He had too many fingers. So you can see here, how the AI still needs a bit of work. It's not so good at figuring out how big this person should be in the image. So all of these men are giants.
Yes.
Now, what I could do to get around that is I could try to put him a little closer. Here, I'm just going to undo all this. Let's do another one. I'll put him a little bit closer here. Might get a better representation. Let's make sure he's on the grass. I got a really good one year when I stepped outside the university and I took a picture of the street as it was raining, and there was just water on the street. And I brought this. I did this at lunch, and I came back to my Photoshop class, and I said, "Okay, well, let's see if this generative AI can put a man in a canoe on the water." So it's like he's canoeing down the street.
Did it?
It actually did very well. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
man.
Sometimes it's a jackpot.
Let's say old man lying in the grass. Let's see what we get.
Hopefully this time he's not going to eat his own hand.
Yeah. And again, if you're not happy with it, you can keep generating as you go. And a lot of this stuff can be done on... oh, look at that.
Oh, much better.
You sometimes get lucky. Often it's
Yes.
a matter of just trying multiple times.
Yeah. It looks like he's eaten a lot. No, the previous one, I think the size of the previous one is better.
Let's just take a look at this
This
guy's
guy
face.
looks like he's doing some kind of an exercise. He's very straight.
Well, he's an alien of some sort too. Look at
Yeah, eyes are like in the ear.
his eye is in the complete wrong spot. It's deformed. This guy actually looks pretty good. Although, you know, if we zoom in, he's missing a mouth. And what's going on with that ear right there? So, you know, there's some ways you can tell AI, if that gives you any indication. It just doesn't always get people right, unfortunately.
But if it's making like an anime, then I think it's really good at that.
Yeah.
Or a cartoon. But if with real people, I think it messes it up.
Can I show you one more thing here?
Okay.
I'm going to show you a side-by-side comparison of the different techniques we can use in Photoshop.
Okay.
So our California trip 2023, I believe that's the one. Yeah, here we go. It's this one. Okay, so I took what I thought was a really good picture of my daughter here. Now, I really love this picture. I love the fact that she's running really nicely. I very nicely captured the motion. Just, I'm going to do an auto on here to Oh, that didn't look so good. Let's do...
Which beach is this one? Is it the Grand Beach?
No, this is actually
Manitoba?
in...
United States?
yeah, California.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can't remember. San Diego.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, the auto's not working here, so we won't use that. Well, actually, it was actually working pretty good. Okay, we'll keep it. The image is a bit dark in itself, and that's another topic. You know, we could go on for quite a while talking
Yeah.
about fixing color, but I just want to show you a comparison now. So, beautiful picture. Obviously, I need to lighten it up a bit. I could easily do that. Actually, here. It's going to bug me, so why don't I just do that really quickly. One thing you can do in Camera Raw is you can actually bring the shadows up a bit. So when I see that my main focus is just a little dark, I can adjust the shadows. I'll just very quickly show you that. You see right here it says shadows. You have this in Google Photos too.
Okay.
I'm just going to... It's a little slow right now. I'm going to up the shadows here. I think because we are doing a live stream right now, it's my graphics card's a bit slow.
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so I'm going to open this up. I like this picture of the guy in the grass. That's great. There we go. So that looks...
I want to save that.
that looks a lot better. But as you can see, there's a lady taking up this picture. Now, this is something that's really hard to remove because I have to get rid of her in the sand and the surf and the water and all of this at the far end here. So,
a very good example.
Yeah. And I can do the same straightening method I showed you before too with cropping and straightening. Very easy on an image like this because whenever you have the ocean, all you do is drag a line on the ocean with the ruler tool, image rotation, arbitrary, done. Again, we crop it to get rid of the white. Just do it very quick here. Actually, there's an automatic way to do that too. Image.
But if you're making the ocean straight, wouldn't that person who's standing straight would look crooked?
No, we're going to get rid of her anyway.
Okay.
Now,
No, I'm talking about like the main focus. It's your daughter, basically.
No. If the ocean wasn't straight, then she was crooked too.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I did this the manual way before. I'm going to show you actually another way to do this. It's called trim. Image trim. And what that does is it's going to give me the eyedropper tool you can see down here. And I click on the color of the image that I want to trim to, right here. It's basically going to trim all that off. Haven't used this one in a while. Oh, it's over here. There we go. Trim based on top left pixel corner, no, bottom right. There. So it's going to basically take this image, this color here, the white, and it's going to trim it.
Yeah.
Which didn't work. Okay. For whatever reason that didn't work. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. I've used trim before. It works quite nicely. It's actually made for doing things like this when you've done a crop and rotate, but
okay,
it didn't look too good. Normally my Photoshop is very smooth, but because we're doing the recording right now, it is a little slow. So now
it's taking more processor.
Yeah.
Right? More memory, RAM.
I got lots of memory. It's probably just the video memory.
Okay.
So now we can see the ocean is straight, but this lady is in my way. So what I'm going to show you is 3 different ways of getting rid of her. Now, one of the first thing we need to do is to get a selection. I can't just click and remove her. Although there are some tools built into Androids right now. The Pixel phones have Magic Eraser, which does a really good job, actually. But not as good as Photoshop.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to get a selection around her, not tight up against her. I want to get a selection a little bit outside of her. There's a reason for that. If you get it too tight in on her, like if you use one of the selection processes, automated selection processes in Photoshop, you might end up with a border of where she was. So that's why you want to take a little bit more. So you want to get a little bit around her like this. Okay. Now I'm going to show you
All right.
the three methods. Actually, sorry, two. The third one I was thinking was on Android. I can't show you that one right now, but I'll do two methods. So here's the old method, which is actually no, we can do two content-aware fills. Here, I'll show you this. First method, fill. This is the automatic content-aware fill. This is the old AI in Photoshop. I'm going to go to content-aware. So I went to Edit, Fill, and then in the background, in the drop-down here, I'm going to choose content-aware. Now I click on that. And what this is going to do is try to guess what should be there.
Wow. Wow.
Pretty
That's so
cool.
clean.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's so clean.
Okay, I'm going to do what's called a snapshot here. I'm going to go into history and I'm going to take a snapshot so I can compare.
Okay.
New snapshot. Okay. Now I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to do the same thing, this time with a different version, the edit content aware fill. Looks like the same thing, it's actually not. When you do edit content aware fill, this allows you to choose where you're going to take that sample from. All the green here is where it's going to sample or take pixels to fill in the area here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I obviously don't want it to use my daughter for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't want any of that. I don't want this surf here because it's fairly different than what should be behind her.
Hmm.
Let's get rid of that. This sand here.
Yeah, because that's not very surfaced.
It's more choppy.
Yeah.
And if you look over at the, you can't see where I'm pointing. Sorry, if you look over here, you can see real time what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Yeah.
So when I remove that stuff, you would have seen this image change.
Hmm.
Now you got a slider here. You can choose how much zoomed in you are. Now this looks not bad. I'm going to click OK. Okay. Now you can see what it did here. Now I'm going to tell you why I don't like this one. One way we can tell that something's been photoshopped is repeating areas.
Yeah.
And sometimes content aware will take an entire section of the image from somewhere else and placed it in another spot. If you look at this right here,
it's a repetition.
this is repeated.
Of the
It was
first
copied
one.
and pasted from right there and it ended up over here. It's almost identical. This is one way you can tell that it's been photoshopped.
Yeah. One more thing I see, there's a shadow on the bottom left
Yeah,
of that drawing.
we'll have to get rid of that
and
later.
that's missing. No, that's missing. Actually, if you look at the other example you showed, there was a shadow. It kind of generated that shadow, but here the shadow is
Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll check that out in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to take another snapshot so we can compare. There we go. So there's two methods. Okay, so here's the original image. There's snapshot 1. Okay, and we've got
there's a shadow, right?
there's a bit of repetition here too, but it's not as obvious.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're seeing this down here, right?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, now here we can really see the repeating pattern. Like these two things are identical. Okay, so let's undo that. Now I'll do the third method. Now here's the new AI. Now we'll just see how much better this is. I don't have to do anything. Again, all I need to do, and this is the easiest, because all I have to do is click Generative Fill. And it's going to remove the lady. If I don't have to give it a prompt. I'll just leave that blank. I'll click Generate, and it's going to look at what's around the image and fill it in. So this is method number 3.
Right. I think even the new smartphones are getting inspired with this feature, and I think some of the phones have this feature.
Yeah,
where
that's Magic
you can
Eraser.
Yeah. Oh God. That looks weird.
Okay.
This is much better. This one is much better.
Yeah, but we didn't want that. Okay, hold on a second. Let me try that again. Generative Fill. I may have to actually say something. Okay, remove lady. Remove person. Okay. I seem to remember last time I did this, I just hit generate and it removed her, but maybe sometimes it needs to be guided a bit more.
Yes.
So I guess we're almost out of time, eh? So we'll finish up with this.
Sure.
Okay, I don't know what
Not
that person's
bad.
doing, but here, this one looks...
But if you zoom in, then it's...
There we go. So see, this lady here is... I don't know why I did that. Okay, anyway, here we go. Okay, so there's that version. There's that version, which left some sort of bony appendage on the beach. I don't know why. There we go. Okay, so now look at this. No repeated areas. This looks natural.
Yeah,
If I was to show you this
definitely.
picture, you would have no idea that this was generative AI.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
Totally, totally. I agree.
Now, one last thing to do here is to get rid of the shadow that the lady was making.
Hmm.
So that's easy. I'll just make a selection of that. And I'm just going to generative fill without saying anything this time. It should remove that shadow. If there's a person that I'm trying to remove, sometimes it replaces it with another person. But if there's like, a blotch like this, it'll just remove it. I mean,
Interesting.
it should. It gets different every year.
Sure, it'll get more powerful as we move along.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Still left some shadow, it seems.
It did. I'll do the other one then. Content aware. Sometimes the reason that they leave this stuff in here is sometimes it's the best way to do things.
Yeah.
Notice the lady still shows up because this only shows me my original layer. It doesn't
Right.
show me the one that content aware fill did.
Correct.
Okay, so notice how it's filled it in with this bumpy stuff. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'll get rid of all the bumpy. Now watch when I let go of my mouse over here on the side. See it disappeared?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll click OK.
Still left
One
some.
more time. Let's try. I didn't. I was too quick with that. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of anything that shouldn't be there. Obviously, these waves shouldn't be there. The water shouldn't be there. Took too much. No bumpy sand. We only want smooth sand there. So I'm only going to leave the green showing smooth sand. And there we go. That looks a lot better, I think.
Yep, it does. Maybe we can select that small portion and then do it again.
Yeah, the part of the problem is that the lady is there too. That's why we're getting that. We're getting a bit of
Okay.
the original lady.
Okay.
I could show you more ways to get rid of that. There's other
That's
things
all
I
right.
can
We
do,
get
but
the idea.
yeah. And there you go.
Awesome.
Let's just get rid of that. It looks better with the shadow, I think. How about that?
That is beautiful, Brent. Thank you so much for explaining that. And I think the audience would have loved what artificial intelligence can do now, and more to see in future. And also, whoever wants to basically get their website built, or you have some work in development, Brent is actually a really, really good engineer, and he can help you with the development of the website as well. So Brent, if someone wants to reach out to you who need help with development of their website or build a software, is there a way they can reach you at?
Yeah, Brent at brentscott.com
Okay.
is the best place
So
to get a hold of me. Yeah.
sure. So I'll make sure I'll leave that in the description of the video for you
Sure.
to watch. Thank you so much for Brent for giving us the time, your valuable time. I know that you are busy. Just to let you know, guys, Brent is very, very talented. He just not teaches, but he also is a really good musician. So he plays guitar, he plays different instruments, he sings, and he's also a great photographer. And as you can see, his lovely pictures that he's taken. So that really surprised me, that because one person having so many talents. So if you want to talk to him, basically get some work done, you can contact him on the email address that he's provided. And look forward to talk to you again, Brent. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Imran.
Welcome.